All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Aneka, and I'm the Prison Book Club manager with Free Minds. I want to welcome everyone to Free Minds on the Same Page Fright Night, a mutual exchange of hope and healing between incarcerated poets and the community. Our featured poet ambassadors for tonight are Free Minds member Gary and Prince, in conversation with my co-host, Julia, our deputy director. And I want to extend a warm welcome to our returning Right Nighters, and to any new volunteers that are on for the first time tonight. We also have Free Minds members who are home in the community joining us. Please post in the chat where you're joining us from, and if this was your first Right Night, or if you've attended any Free Minds events in the past. Also, before you leave a comment, make sure you click everyone. Just in case it currently says like host and panelists, you can just switch that to everyone so that everyone can see your chat. And our incarcerated poets would be thrilled to know how many community members are supporting them and what cities and states and countries they're from. Here is how it will go tonight. We will have a conversation with Gary and Prince, and we'll have a chance to answer any questions that you have until about 7:25. Please put any questions that you have in the chat or in the Q&A button below at any time. And then we'll share some quick tips on how to use our platform Miro to give poetry feedback, and we will all join in on the same page. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our poet ambassadors. Gary is a Free Minds Poet Ambassador who joined the Prison Book Club in January 2023. He was 19 years old when he was first incarcerated and served 28 years. Gary was released under the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act this past February. During his incarceration, he was an avid reader, particularly enjoying fantasy novels. He recently was hired for 2 positions as a roofer and a ballot clerk for the Board of Elections. Gary also recently celebrated getting his driver's license and has spoken at several outreach events with Free Minds since returning home. He loves spending time with his family and is dedicated to providing for his children. Prince is also a Free Minds Poet Ambassador who joined Free Minds while incarcerated at the DC jail in 2021. Prince was then incarcerated in the federal prison system for about 2 years and returned home in January 2024. While incarcerated, Prince remained an avid reader and a prolific writer, having sent Free Minds many of his poems and reading over 800 books. He also received 5 IT certifications and over 25 certifications during his incarceration. Prince is from Nigeria and was a criminal defense attorney before coming to the United States. He is currently a 2024 Georgetown Paralegal Fellow and is enthusiastic about entering the next phase of his professional career, hoping to attend law school in the United States in the future. Now I will pass it over to Julia.
Thank you, Anika. And I think Prince actually just lost the connection, so hopefully he gets back on quickly. But I'm so excited to be here with all of you tonight. All right, here I see him popping back on. And thank you so much, Gary. Thank you, Prince. This is like so awesome that you guys took the time out of your day to be with us. Gary working 2 jobs. Prince just told me he works 6 days a week. You guys are so busy. Really appreciate you lending your time and your energy with us tonight. And we're so grateful to everyone for joining us as well. It's going to be a really exciting conversation. Prince, is your connection okay? You good?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, I was just
No problem.
wondering for a second.
No problem.
I'm
All
here.
right. You have a poem that you're going to share with us tonight that I believe you wrote in the Free Minds Book Club, right? Called Mockingbird. I think we
Yes.
dive right into the poetry. Can't wait.
This poem is titled Mockingbird by myself. My real name is Adewumi, which literally means prince. All pain is not equal, but there is no value in pain when it's without purpose. Does happiness require a struggle as pain requires acceptance? Is it wrong to feel privileged in the severity of my pain as I feel chosen to bear this burden? In the quiet of my heart, I feel no kinship. We all see the same truth, but call it by different names. The dark space between what was and what is. My trials casting powerful spell, keeping my secret intact in the gossip of many tongues. Their chatter setting off memories of shameful pasts, then tears at having been made to remember. Can you help me scroll up? The world looks at me and sees my past. I hope my son looks at me and sees his dad. My experience teaching me a valuable lesson in failure, that failing is not the end of the journey. When this is done, I will be bloodied and tired, but free and at peace. Peace, the wisdom gained from afflictions, hard fought battles, and the stench of 4 years gone past. Mockingbird, delighted at the battle cry. In the end, may the purpose of this journey never be in vain.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Prince. I invite anyone listening, anyone watching to write in the chat, like anything that stood out to you in the poem, any favorite lines, anything that you could connect to. But Prince, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about like what inspired you to write this poem.
Well, my inspiration for the poem was at the time when I was really down. When I was incarcerated, I suffered from a lot of guilt and shame because in my previous life, I was a criminal defense attorney. I came to America wanting to write a New York bar, wanting to go to law school and all of that stuff, but I ended up in prison. And so at that time, I was suffering from a lot of guilt and shame, and it became worse because most of my colleagues back home in Nigeria started, talking about my indictment and sharing my paperwork and all that stuff online, and that was how the topic mockingbird came about. The mockingbird is a bird who knows how to mimic, the sound of other birds, and so that was why I said that my secrets became intact in the tongues of many people. So because people started talking about it and I felt that shame more, and because of my family and all of that. But at the same time, the mockingbird is a symbol for innocence. And so that topic that I chose went two ways. Innocence for me, and that's why I was saying, I feel privileged in bearing my trials. Can I, bear it in peace without, people interfering and all of that? But the main thing was, it came to me at a time when I was down and I, felt rejected and dejected, and that was when I wrote that poem.
Thank you so much for sharing. And it's so powerful also to me, just how there's so many different ideas and so many layers in this poem. And when I first read it, like one of the lines that really stood out to me was about peace and wanting to find that or to achieve that for yourself. And so I'm curious if you feel like, has writing helped you in finding that peace or pursuing that peace?
Yes, I used to write as a kid. I started writing maybe when I was 8, but at some point in my life, I stopped writing for a long time until I got incarcerated, and that became my escape route. Because one, I'm a foreigner, locked up in America, a foreigner, so I couldn't really mix. So I spent majority of my time in my cell alone, and so that was where I found peace
Mm-hmm.
by reading and writing. And so reading and writing saved my life when I was locked up. And so I was trying to transition, into a better peace or a larger peace. That okay, when it is done,
Mm-hmm.
I hope I can enjoy genuine peace, not peace found within the confines of a jail cell, but peace, real peace when I'm able to live my life again. And that was the trajectory, wanting peace. I knew that at the end of the day, that's why I said that I would be bloodied and tired, because, it's a battle and nobody goes to war or goes to battle and, remains the same. And so that was why I said I will be bloodied and tired, but then I'm on the path on my path to finding peace. Yes.
I love that. And you read 800 books. Did I hear that right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm amazed that you could keep track of 800 books too. Um, but I know we met at the jail, I want to say in 2021, I think once the COVID restrictions lifted so that Free Mind staff was able to go into the jail again. Um, did Free Minds help you in that journey as well, like getting through that difficult time in the jail and prison?
Free mind saved my life. And I really mean it.
Mhm.
Because when I was locked up, like I said, the shame was so severe. I didn't speak to my parents for almost 3 years. In fact, the first 2.5 years of my time, I didn't speak to none of my family members because there was no how I could face them because it's unheard of, you know. But at that time, it was new to me that people would treat you with so much disrespect and so much disdain and so much hatred that it became the norm. Inmate to inmate, police to inmate, it became the norm that nobody saw you as a human being. And so for the first time since I got locked up, since the day I got picked up till I met Free Minds were the first people who made me know I was still a human being. And so before I came in contact with Free Minds, I had given up, given up hope, given up on so much stuff. But my first contact with Free Minds was the first thing I perceived was I'm a human being and I'm worthy and I'm worth it. And that was it. And that was what got me sold. And that was what I enjoyed about Free Minds. So I had to pick myself up, knowing that some people really believed in me and some people genuinely from their heart believe I'm a human being. And so Free Minds saved me. If not for Free Minds, I won't be sitting here today. And that's the truth. Free Minds have done so much for me. He's making me, I'm sorry.
Take your time. Take a moment if you need it.
It's Free Minds saved me. That's what I can say right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And while it's, we don't want anyone to be going through that dehumanization, and be going through those trials. Um, your, resilience and your strength and getting through that and, achieving what you have achieved and being home now with your family, and here with us. We're so appreciative and so glad that you're here with us.
Thank
And we do have another poem that you're going to share tonight from one of our members who is still incarcerated and still on that journey. And this it was so perfect, fitting that you brought up like that idea of just being human and having your humanity recognized, because this poet responded to a writing prompt we sent about it's like I am and like your identity. And so I just um think that we didn't plan that, guys. That worked out just perfectly. But yeah, do you want to share this piece?
Yes, to be my honor to. The title of the piece is I Am by Abdul Shahid. I am Abdul Shahid. I wonder how adjusting to society will be. I hear my inner thoughts saying, don't worry. I see the sky outside my window that makes me smile. I want to see the trees, nature, and cars as people go about their day. I am Abdul Shahid. I pretend I'm in a big boat at sea enjoying the view of the ocean. I feel happy, elated, and free. I touch the water as the waves flow. I worry if the wind is too strong for my journey. I ask, how long can I stay? I am Abdul Shahid. I understand my past doesn't define who I am now. I believe I am wiser than I once was. I dream I could change the direction of many youths. I trust my faith in Allah to continue to guide me. Can you help me scroll up? To guide me. I hope for forgiveness from all whom I've hurt and wronged. I am Abdul Shahid.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, when you've read that, was there anything in particular that stood out to you or that that you connected with in this poem?
Yes, two lines stood out to me. The first being the fact that even in his identity, he still found the grace to ask for forgiveness. It takes a man to be able to admit he has done wrong, and he hopes he can be forgiven, especially going through what people who are still locked up go through. It takes a lot to still say, okay, I was wrong, and I hope at some point, the people who have wronged can forgive me. So he embedded that forgiveness in who he is. And so that stood out to me first. And another part that stood up to me was when he said he hopes the wind would not be too strong. You know, and why that stood up to me is because he doesn't need to worry about that, because Free Minds is out there here for him. So even when he comes home and the wind is too strong, Free Minds can be the sail. Like Free Minds has been to so many of us. They've helped us, in our reentry. When I came home, I didn't know what I would do. I didn't know what it will be. When
Mhm.
I got released, the first person I called was Kelly, the Free Minds member. I didn't even call my family yet. And since every step of the way, Free Minds has been there. So I understand the fact that it's something to worry about. But if I can speak to him today, I'll tell him, don't even worry about that, brother. Don't sweat it. You know, Free Minds is here. There can be the seal, and
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing.
We'll have to send him a letter and tell him that. And for everyone listening, that poem is you're gonna have the opportunity to read that poem and write comments to Abdul Shahid. So we can tell him that, we can tell him that ourselves, tell him we're ready to be the
The seal.
sail
Yes.
to help him along on his journey. And you talk about like Free Minds support in reentry. It's really all about a community and like peer support. We're all Free Minds, all of us here on this Zoom call. And we could, it's not just like three or four people, doing it on our own. It's this whole community. We're so grateful for everyone. And Gary, I know Gary was on the move. Gary, are you able to share right now?
I'm still on the move and I can't access my video right now.
Okay. But we can hear you. We can hear you pretty clear.
Okay.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah. I can hear
Perfect.
y'all perfect.
Perfect. And we can hear you too. That's the most important thing. Hopefully we'll be able to see your face later on too, but hearing your words, hearing your voice is so important. And so you were going to share one of your own pieces as well with us called What is Realness?
Yeah. And second so I can jump on and say, can y'all hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
What is realness by me, Gary Cornegay? Realness does not rest on only words, but only in daily actions. Realness is the ability to stand firm in your belief and be true to yourself against all odds. Realness is consistency. Realness is having the strength to face your fears, to face your total and true self, and to recognize the flaws in your character. Realness is dependable. Realness is not heard or seen, but felt. Realness is real. Prison is real. But being a prisoner, criminal, thug, or gangster does not automatically give you the ability to keep it real. Realness is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Realness is loyalty. Real people attract and recognize and mingle with real people.
All right. Thank you so much, Gary. And when you shared this poem with me, the thing that really stood out to me was that line that we just ended on about realness is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Such a powerful statement of your values. And I was wondering if these values have helped you connect with like-minded people, in the community or in reentry to help you have that community of support.
like Prince just said, like free mind. There's a real people that's involved in it. And I'm just not up in y'all because y'all right here in front of me. Like free minds really means something to us that's coming out here. Like y'all reached out to us in a way that other programs not, or they just not capable of. So we appreciate that receiving that man from y'all. Like we really need that too, and that's why I want to read the next poem. Like people got men messed up in this world today, and these young guys need to learn that man. You need to know self before you can know somebody else. So yeah,
Mhm.
all that counts.
Yeah, you're eager to read the next poem, I know, but real quick, I just wanted to ask, like, for folks on the call who may be less familiar, like, how has having like that peer support network in reentry, how has that helped you in your journey?
It helped me a great deal. Like I tell everybody, I ain't ashamed of that. I've been on this earth in prison longer than I've been on this earth. I was I was locked up at the age of 19, and I did 28 years and 47 now. I'm coming out here and I'm lost. I'm actually lost. I don't know if people will understand that. Like I'm a visitor here in DC, even though I was born here. Everything done changed, and with the help of free minds, I was able to achieve a lot of things, like a job, my driver's license, my social security, my ID, all that through free minds. If it wasn't for them and my wife and daughter, then I'd be lost. So appreciation is, yeah, I appreciate that.
We appreciate you so much. Like I said before, there's no free minds, without all of us here together. But I know you want to share the next poem too. So,
Yeah.
Anika, do we have that one ready to go? So this is another poem by one of our members who is currently incarcerated.
Men cry too. Growing up, I was taught to be tough. That boys don't cry. Showing emotions meant that you were weak. So I went through life with my feelings absent, only absorbing pain on this rough journey. Now, excuse me, now that I'm gone, showing my vulnerability is nourishment for my soul. For me, excuse me, for me, it is healthy to express my feelings, and I just want you to know, no cry too.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's such an important message for all of us to hear. And we were talking the other day about how when you were growing up, you felt like um, you know, it, people weren't really supportive for men to like be vulnerable or express themselves. But I also know that while you were incarcerated, you wrote a lot like to your daughter in particular, right? So my question to you, Gary, is like, did writing to her help you like express those emotions in a healthy way?
Yeah, that's what got me so emotional now because I was able to express myself to my daughter and my wife.
Yeah.
And even though they didn't know me as a grown man, well, my daughter didn't know me at all, to be honest. But my wife didn't know me as a grown man, so they gave me a chance to express to her who I truly was, regardless of my flaws and my mishaps.
Hmm. And I mean, you're so expressive now. We just met the other day, and I can already tell like you have so much to say, and so appreciate you, Gary, and Prince as well, like for sharing so openly with all of us. It's really inspiring, and I just really appreciate that. And I do want to open it up to questions now from the audience. So if anyone has questions, you can post them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And in the meantime, I have a question for both of you, either one, whoever wants to answer. Prince, maybe it's one of those 800 books. Was there one book in particular that like really made an impact on you during your incarceration? Or for either of you?
Well, a lot of the books came to me at different times, meaning different things.
Mhm.
You know, like I read the book, The Tragic Life of Robert Peace. It meant something to me at that time because this was a young man who was going to an Ivy League school, had, so much ahead in his future, but lost his life tragically. So at that time when I read that book, I'm thinking to myself, I said, thank God I'm still alive. There's still grace to, do more exploits, especially if you're alive. And at the same time, I read Professor McHour's book about incarceration in America, and that got me real mad. And it made me write a lot that, look, this is the greatest country on earth. Why should people be locked up in America? I mean, I'm from Nigeria. We don't even lock people up like like they lock people up in America. And there's a third world country where people are running from. So at different times, different books meant different things to me. And at the same time, I read memoirs. So I can't really say one particular book because different things, different emotions,
Yeah.
yeah. But there's so
Like
much book.
different ideas hitting differently at different times. It sounds,
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah. What about you, Gary? Any particular book that really had an impact on you? I know.
Yeah, I love James Allen, Man of Philosophy.
Yes, for anyone who couldn't hear, that's Mind is the Master by James Allen. Was there any particular like why that book? What sort of impact did that have on you when you read it?
You know, first and foremost, like my mother, the reason I like James Allen, Man is the Master, because it reminds you everything that your mother put you through or your mother tried to teach you when you was younger and you didn't listen. Like, I tell all the young guys, you tell them you got guns, your mother got guns. She the one been trying to teach you since you was young. You know what I mean? That's just like 48 Laws of Power. That's in that book. Also, that remind me of that book also. Like, James Allen just sharpens you up on the things that you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
You know, Masters the Mind it's what you're supposed to be anyway. You got to know self. When you know self and you know your mind, you at peace. Like, but last time we was on the phone and somebody asked, "What do I get my peace from?" Within. Because if you're happy and cool with yourself, then the world is easy and beautiful. But if you mad with yourself or whatever, then you won't be mad at the world. So that's what James Allen reminded me of, to build and down in the self and check self so you can walk accordingly.
That's powerful. And I think that inner peace, that peace with the self, I think is something that probably everyone has probably struggled with at some point and everyone needs and is pursuing. We have a question from Anthony. It's a question for you, Prince. How did you overcome like the shame that you talked about from being incarcerated?
Well, to some extent, I'm still, dealing with it, but not like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
When I first spoke to my parents, African parents, my dad is tough. My dad is real tough. And so when I eventually got around speaking to them, the first thing my mother said to me was, you never did anything wrong. You never offended me as a mother. You've asked God for forgiveness and God has forgiven you, and that is the ultimate, and that really just washed over me because I was sitting there feeling like, yes, I let them down, but she was like, no, it's your journey, it's your path. People make mistakes. And then, so after that, I left when my son was 2 months old. I came home when my son, turned 4. And so the first day I got in the house, even though I'd been speaking to him over video call, my boy just ran to me and, just hugged me. And that was just it. So I've seen signs to let me know that, yeah, I'm on a better path now. I'm on a better journey. And right now, at this time in my life, I'm at the point where this is just the journey for my soul. Right now, I'm on this journey for my soul. So that at the end of it, when I look my children in the eye, I can tell them that, yeah, people make mistakes. Daddy made one. But then this is what I made out of that mistake. This is me now. And I hope they'll be proud of that journey and they'll be proud of me at the end of it. So I'm still, dealing with it now and then, but now I feel more fulfilled in this journey than in my previous life. Yes.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And it comes back to what was in
A bus go up Martin Luther King Avenue towards Incarcerated Heights.
sorry. I was gonna say it reminds me of the line from Abdul Shahid's poem as well about my past does not define me. I feel like that's one of the recurring themes that's coming up tonight and is really such a important message for everyone. I think we have time for just one more question. This question for any of you guys on the call who want to answer. How is writing a poem different than speaking to a person face to face? Like, do you feel like you can express yourself differently, in writing?
Oh yes, I wrote
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of poems when I was locked up, a whole lot to people, that I couldn't see at that time to speak to, or to people or to situations that I didn't think I was prepared to speak about. And so now when I go back and I look through my books and see what I wrote, I see how deep they are. I feel better equipped when I write on paper. I'm able to pour my heart into my poems than when I see people and I speak to them. So it was really liberating, and it was really a beautiful moment or beautiful moments when I write. When I'm speaking, sometimes I just want to shut up. I just want to shut it down. I just want to say, okay, but when I'm writing, I pour my soul into it. So especially the poems I wrote to my son when I was locked up, I poured all my all into it. That I don't think words can express it if it's standing in front of me for me to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So writing takes a different shape for me. It's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah. What about you, Gary? Did you want to add anything on that subject?
Yeah, like when you by yourself and you telling your feelings, you can tell your true feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't got to worry about judgment or somebody frowning your face up because you already did it. Let them do that after you let them do that after you wrote it and see their reaction. That's the real emotions of your poem, how it touched other people. At least it is for me. When I'm just writing my true feelings, it's easy, especially if I'm in a room by myself. So yeah, you can express your true self. That's just like some people love talking on the phone instead of talking in person because they feel like you can't see me.
Mm-hmm.
They can hide a little bit. And we do need that as humans. We do need to hide from the world sometimes.
And you need
I
that
just want people
that space with no judgment, like you're saying, no one.
exactly
Yeah.
like people need to know that they need to express themselves or they need to get in touch with their true feelings to really find out who they are. If you don't test
Yeah,
yourself, how can you let somebody else test you?
absolutely. I said that was our last question, but I lied. I have another question. One more question. Very important, especially for some of our new folks who might be joining Right Night for the first time. Why is this so important, to be participating in something like this where we're sending um, feedback on the poetry, comments on the poetry back to our incarcerated members? Like, like Prince, I don't know if you want to share, like what impact did it have for you to receive that kind of feedback in the mail?
It's everything. When I was locked up and I get mail and it's from Free Minds, I open it so quick. I particularly love the uh, responses that come on the poems. I can never ever forget the first poem I wrote. I just wrote it and then I sent it in. I wasn't even planning to keep writing. I just wrote it because Kelly said, "Oh, you have to write." So I said, "Okay." I wrote it. I sent it in. The first person who wrote on that poem said, "This is so beautiful. Please keep writing." I can never ever forget. And so that statement that person wrote to me, I can't even remember the name now, but I vividly remember how the person wrote it, made me to keep writing. And so everybody on here today might not understand the connection they're making with people who are in there. The comments that will be written on poems today might be something that's going to save somebody's life, might be the comment that's going to make the person keep writing, might be the comment that's going to make the person turn his life around, might be, you cannot understand the extent at which this is going to go. Because I wouldn't have been writing if not for that comment. I said, this is so beautiful, please keep writing. And I kept writing, and I'm still writing till today. And that was in 2021. And so,
Thank you. And you never know what kind of impact your words are going to have. And that goes both ways, to the poets sharing their
oh, yeah.
poetry and those of us reading it and, you know, and connecting with it.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
always love to send my poems in so that I can get, feedbacks on them and just keep reading it. Many times I keep rereading it. I had a special folder. I still have a special folder where I put just, my poems from Free Minds and the replies and the cards that were sent in and all of that stuff. It's a lifeline. It's a lifeline.
Thank you. Gary, did you want to add anything on that note about receiving mail?
About receiving mail is big. Like, I was only receiving mail from my daughter and my wife at the time. So to receive mail from Free Minds was big within itself. Like, and y'all are so supportive. It's like, I don't want nobody to experience what I experienced, but if you do, it's a beautiful feeling. The received mail and the pamphlets about DC, because I was geeking to, to understand my city again. And y'all gave me that with the pictures and the poems and the letters. Like, unlike Prince, I done probably read more, just as much books as Prince, but unlike Prince, I was scared to share my poems because they was personal. I'm still scared. That was the very first poem I wrote, and that was the very first poem that I shared with anybody other than my family. So yeah, that's what it meant to me. Like, yeah, it meant a lot.
Well, we're honored
Just to let y'all,
to be
just
the
to let y'all
audience for
know,
your first
yeah,
poem.
just to let y'all know, getting mail from anybody while you incarcerate, I'm sorry, while you locked up. When you get mail from anybody that ain't your family, it's big. And they doing it just because, that's big. So know that your letters count.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Aneka, I think you have quick comments to share, and then we'll do like tips, get into the practicalities of how folks can comment on the poems. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, thank you. Thank you both, Prince and Gary, for, being open and vulnerable and expressing, how impactful writing and reading and, being able to share your poetry is. Like, it's amazing. And we definitely appreciate you sharing your space with us. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We're going to show you some quick tips and tricks for using the digital whiteboard Miro for poetry feedback. But first, a couple of ways to get involved. There's a coalition called Building Communities, Not Prison, working to prevent Congress from funding another federal prison. To join the movement to stop FCI Letcher from being built, click the link in the chat. Someone will post the link in the chat. And if you want to support our work, you can donate to help us with more incarcerated and formerly incarcerated members into the Free Minds family. You can head to the link that'll also be in the bio, and you can look at that for more information. Every little bit helps. Even just $1 can help cover the cost of printing and mailing the poems with the comments back to our members. So we appreciate it all. And I'll pass it on over to you, Julia, for the tips from Miro.
Great. Thank you, Aneka, and thanks everyone. And thanks, Melissa, for posting all of our very important links in the chat. So for folks who want to get online and read the poems, Melissa is going to post this link in the chat, but we use a whiteboard called Miro. And I'm just going to share my screen real quick so folks can see, if you're not familiar with this, how easy it is to use. So you don't need to create an account. You don't need to sign into anything. You just click on the link and this opens right up. And the first thing you'll see is this page with a few instructions and links to, we have 3 virtual tables with the poems. So when you read poems on one table, you can click on the link to table 2, to go to the next one. And we also have a video tutorial if you want to watch some more tips about how to use this platform. And if for any reason it doesn't work for you, you can also use Google Docs, which we have linked here as well. But once you sign in, there's just a few things you want to remember. First, in the lower right-hand corner, you'll have the option to zoom out or to zoom in. And so you can make the poems bigger, as big as you need. And then on the left hand, you have sort of your toolbar with everything you need to navigate around the board. So you want to click on the blue arrow, and then you can just scroll around to the poem that you want to read. And then grab this T for text and just click anywhere near the poem. And then you can type in your message for the poet. We like to address poets by their first name as a sign of, respect and acknowledging, their identity and who they are. So you could say like, "Hi, Willie," whatever message you want to share. We encourage folks to find something that you can connect with, find a favorite line, share how it made you feel or anything it made you think, or any ways you could connect. So, and then just sign off with your first name, or if you have a nickname, whatever you go by. And if you want to add where you're joining us from, our poets love to hear, all the different places that people are participating from. So you can also make things different colors, you can get creative, but otherwise just type your message and then just click anywhere and it all saves automatically. And then you just scroll on to the next poem. And if you make a mistake, there's an undo button right here, but don't worry about it too much. Our team is going to be here, and so if you if you put your text box slightly to the side and you want to move it, our team will be there to like help out with any technical things like that. And that is basically how to do Miro. So remember, you can zoom in and out with the plus and minus sign at the right. Select the blue arrow here to scroll and use the T for text to write any message that you want to write. And that is Miro 101. All right, back to you, Aneka.
All right. Thank you all for coming. Please click the link in the chat to read more poems on the virtual tables to continue with the next part of Write Night. Please enjoy the poems, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Write Night. We will be closing the Zoom momentarily. Please click the link in the chat if you haven't already to begin reading and responding to poems. Thank you all and have a good night.
Thank